So when we relax the body, it quiets the mind. Well, one way to get us out of our mind is to focus elsewhere. What a great place to focus when you're trying to unwind is relaxing the muscles, the tissues, the fibers, the nerves of the body. And it is so simple.
Welcome to Journey to Your Best Self, a podcast where we explore the profound journey of self-discovery and holistic integration. I'm your host, Brian O'Neill of Your One Self. I'm here with my amazing sister, Tara O'Neill, clinical hypnotherapist, certified life coach, and yoga instructor. Hi, Tara.
Hello, how are you doing?
Excellent. Together, we're dedicated to help you merge the mental, spiritual, intellectual, physical, and emotional aspects of yourself into a harmonious whole. Now, today we're diving into the world of sleep. Are you tossing and turning at night? Well, you're not alone. In this episode, we'll reveal 5 powerful sleep secrets that can transform your nights and supercharge your days. Stay tuned, and you might just find the solution you've been searching for. All right, so, Tara, why is sleep important? That's what we're going to discuss right off the top, because we want to, have viewers and listeners, understand why they should stick around. And I think that this answer is going to kind of highlight why it's important for more people than you may think, right? Everyone has to sleep. Everyone has to sleep about a third of their life. So whether or not you think sleep secrets are intended specifically for you, I think there's something in this podcast for everyone, as we try to always do, right? Touch on those things that are going to affect, kind of humanity writ large. So can you kind of start us off and let us know why sleep is so crucial?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is one hack that I totally support. There's a lot of information out there, like how to hack your sleep, but we know how to hack everything in our society, right? We're do this better, faster, stronger. But this is really, I'm very passionate about sleep, and I do think it should be mastered and hacked for sure. It really is gonna can be life changing to have good quality sleep. I think some of us don't even really know what it's like to sleep really, really, really well all the time, right? A lot of times children, if we think back to when we were children, and most children are usually pretty good at sleeping well, sleeping deeply. And we want to get into those deeper brainwave states and stay there. So we want to make sure that we are hitting all the different levels of sleep. And we're going to talk about why it's important. Well, I'll ask you if you could summarize why it's so important. So it's not just about avoiding feeling tired the next day. It really helps us on a mental, emotional, spiritual, emotional journey. So, or to be well-rounded and support us on that journey. So it helps us all the things that we talk about here. It's going to accelerate the growth, the rejuvenation, the health, vitality of us. So go ahead and tell the pinpoint of what else it does besides making it. Nobody likes to feel tired. Most people don't like to feel tired, right? It's uncomfortable, but there's so much more, right? So can you spell out those 5 or so things that are going on behind the scenes of sleep?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. I mean, if to your point about it's more than just sleeping when you're tired or sleepy, that would be like saying, I eat when I'm hungry, and that's just all there is to it, right? But quality nutrition is just so much more complex and essential than that, right? So we would like to believe that we're kind of trying to achieve growth and self-actualization, and reaching your oneself and your best self. So sleeping when I'm tired is A, not understanding, and B, just not kind of making the most of it so it can help all these other aspects of your life. A couple of keys that I think about when I think of why we need good quality sleep. Physical recovery, first off, to start, right? Especially when you're talking about people that are active, that work with their hands, that have those blue collar jobs, that are chasing around their children, that are working out, that are lifting weights, that are running, that are swimming in summer, that are hiking. Your body just needs sleep. This one's pretty intuitive, to repair and rebuild tissue during sleep, right? When you lift, when you work out, when you hit weights, you when even when you do uh, body weight workouts, even when you just walk around the neighborhood, it doesn't have to be powerlifting. You need sleep to have those muscles that you've torn recover and regenerate themselves, right? That's how we get muscle growth. So if you love to work out and exercise, you're not going to be able to do it every day or 3 times a week or 4 times a week if you don't sleep and get that recovery, right? And if you want to build muscle, which many of us want to do, you need to have your body repair and rebuild those muscle, those tissues, and those muscle fibers. So that's definitely critical. Muscle recovery and growth. Stress reduction. Getting back to pod 103, one of the things that we didn't mention, because we knew, we touch on it later on in the season. Good sleep lowers overall stress levels and enhances, mental health. This ties in a little bit with the one that we're talking about in the future, but that cortisol, that like high over saturation of like those hormones that are built up, and when you're kind of firing on all cylinders, that's damaging if you live at that state day after day after day.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
definitely need to lower those stress levels, and a good night's sleep will definitely, I mean, even if it's not intentional, and even if you've never even thought about that, now knowing that, if you can just think back on all the nights you've been kind of in despair, or just so stressed out or so overwhelmed, going to, whether it's with a relationship or with yourself or with your work day, and then you just wake up feeling so much better the next day. And it's not by any kind of mental gymnastics or strategy that you've used, or you
Right.
episode of Journey to Your Best Self that you listen to. It's just your body naturally brought you down and rebalanced you.
Right.
You're gonna ask me for that?
I wanted to add a quick adrenaline and cortisol like tidbit there. Like cortisol is good, right? We want cortisol to peak in the or to spike in the morning. I believe it's 10 a.m. ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it helps us wake up, and we'll touch a little bit on hormones. Though the to your point, if we're constantly pumping out adrenaline and cortisol, like it's just running through our system, it's often too much, right? It's overly saturated. And like you're saying, like at night, the system can clean that out. So all that excess, all those excess stress hormones that can be really harsh on your body, when you sleep, it's getting a chance to detox all of those, right? And so it's like you said, you don't have to sit in 7 hours of meditation. Like you getting a good night's sleep is going to reset a lot of these systems and the stress hormones of, especially the heavy hitters of cortisol and adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's number three, the hormonal balance. You kind of covered it, but hormones such as, like you said, the cortisol, the melatonin, the things that you need, that we all need, but not in excess, right? Everything
Right.
in
Yeah.
moderation. And you have to kind of, if you get into that habitual habit of sleeping that 7 to 9 hours, you're just going to notice without doing anything extra that you're going to be much more regulated. Um, Speaking of regulation, your blood sugar control, right? So rest is going to definitely help you maintain. It's not going to be the only thing that does it, but it's definitely going to help to stabilize uh, blood sugar levels, right? And just make you healthier overall. When you're working out, if you're cutting, if you're dieting, here's a great test to this theory. I know I jumped away from blood sugar for a second, but weigh yourself before you go to bed. Weigh yourself when you wake up. Right, you're gonna just you're exhaling, you're burning calories, you're getting rid of the toxins and different things inside of your body, and you're you're losing you're losing weight overnight the more you sleep. So it's definitely just so critical. It's definitely like if you think of it like a reset almost, right? It's your body is trying to get back. And if you have months and months and years of bad habits, one good night of sleep's not gonna necessarily be a game changer. But with consistency, sleep itself is going to do so much. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about, or that I want to mention, in reasons that everyone needs to get a great 7 to 9 hours, is emotional regulation, right? So I definitely believe that sleep aids us in processing our emotions and will help you stay calm and focused. And your body, this is all these could be their own episode, and it
Mm,
may very well be, but your body
absolutely.
goes through a lot of, one of the things about dreaming is your body putting your mind and your body putting you in different scenarios with yourself and with other people, and you trying them out, and reflecting on how those things worked out, right? So there's a reason that we all dream and and reflect. And you can think about being in like a really like clairvoyant, lucid state of mind at times, like right when you go to sleep, right when you wake up, and it's just you trying to regulate and go through the different um you know scenarios and emotions and social interactions that you're going to have with people, right? So there's just so much
Yeah.
great reasons to utilize these 5 sleep secrets in 5 minutes.
And
Take
that's
up the entire
great.
episode. Do you want to cut in here and get
Yeah.
to?
Well, like you said, that could be an episode, or we could talk for hours about that, the dream state and the sleep, and how you worded it beautifully. It allows us to try out different realities in a sense. And that space right before you fall asleep and when you wake up in the morning, that in essence, that's a trance, and that's hypnosis, right? So hypnosis is going to be the alpha. So beta wavelength, and I'll just touch on this for one moment, but beta wavelength is when you're active and you're more analytical, more logical. Alpha is when you start to relax, and theta is alpha and theta are hypnotic states. So we can have we'll talk about that, and we'll dispel myths of hypnosis. But ultimately, that's what we're doing, is we are in that in between, not sleep, not waking, and that's so good for our brain. It's really like I can't say the word reset enough. It's also fun. That's where you manifest. It's where you can play. It's where you can try different things out. But yes, absolutely, emotional regulation. Of course, the hormonal part, but we're playing out the age-old sleep on it. Like, is it's there for a reason, right? Like, it's tried and true saying. It's like, let me sleep on it, because while you're sleeping on whatever it is that you're trying to work through, your subconscious, your unconscious is churning out just a gazillion different scenarios to make it the best one for you. So that next day, often there's going to be clarity for sure. There's a lot of different layers to it, but yeah, thank you for bringing all those points up, because it is so sleep is so much. more than, like we were saying, not to be tired, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's foundational. It's a foundational element to our overall well-being. You can when you skimp on sleep, you feel groggy the next day. That's the first warning sign, but you're also affecting your long-term health in a myriad of ways. So we always try to tell followers and clients that it's critical. It's a foundational
Yeah.
part to your mind, body, and spirit, and these secrets are going to truly make a difference. So you want to jump right in with sleep secret number one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just one more expression I like to use is like sleep is taking out the trash, right? We absorb millions of bits of information that we don't necessarily need. So our mind is deleting them in our sleep. So if we wake up foggy and we don't have clear cognition, it could be because we didn't take out the trash, right? All right, so yeah, so the one of my favorite tips is getting in tune with your circadian rhythm, right? So Mother Nature, she knows best. So if we can align ourselves with the circadian rhythm of the earth, one of the ways to do we can sleep much deeper, much better. One of the ways to do that is to get sun exposure throughout the day. So if you can get your face some natural sunlight, even if it's not sunny, even if it's just if there's overcast, if you can get exposed to that for a few minutes before 10 a.m., that's going to be huge because that's going to help the melatonin and serotonin switch so that your body knows that it's the morning and knows which hormones to start producing and stop producing. And also throughout the day, if possible, if you can get out at noon, right? Don't you have to look directly at the sun, but if you can get some exposure to the sun or at least the sky where you're getting some natural light, again, you're sending cues to your internal system that this is daylight. And then in the evening, ideal situation if you could watch a sunset, that especially that color that the sun is, like that orange, because during the day it's the blue light, right? So the sun is emitting a lot of blue light. We want the warming colors at night, which would be this watching the sunset, fire, candle, like that, those elements of the warm tones. No, not wanting blue. Does that make sense?
It does. Now, a couple of questions here
Yeah.
for people's convenience. Do you need to be outside to do this? Or how can we make it accessible to as many as possible? I mean, ideally, I guess you would be,
Oh, no, you can stick your head through
walking
the
out to the
window.
garden and. But
Yeah, I mean, you as your sister, you've known me to do some pretty strange things. I have no problem taking, we talked about our earthing. I have no problem taking my shoes off at the park, walking around barefoot. Also, like if I remember when I used to teach, and I would go in my car and I would just open the window and make sure my head was like kind of tilted towards the sun when I was on my lunch break to get some sun. But you can open the window. Any natural is going to be ideal, but there's always artificial, right? So if that takes us to our next, which would be the glasses, the blue blocking glasses.
right.
And so if you had to, you could get a light. So some people that have seasonal affect disorder, or if you live in Alaska or places that it's really dark for a lot, you actually might not want to be in with that particular circadian rhythm if there's 20 hours of daylight. So there's always going to be exceptions. They have wonderful lights that you can get to put right by your bed. And so then if you have to be up at 6 a.m., you can put this fluorescent light. It's called a natural light, and you can just it's great to get that system going. So there's always going to be, so ideally, nature would, be great, but there's always going to be alternatives. That's the beauty of the modern world. I mean, we have access to really, really close seconds.
What about your room setup as far as to kind of make the most of this? Is there recommendations? You were kind of to talk about like underexposure. If we don't have access to the outside, we don't have great, visualization of kind of the east, right? If you're looking eastward, that would be ideal. If you were inside and you had a window you could throw open and get some kind of sunrise exposure early on in your day. But if you didn't have that, then ideally you would kind of, if you had something that where you had more of a westward situation, right, a lookout, and you were getting like too much sunlight, trying to get to sleep.
Oh
You
yeah.
kind of recommend getting coverage for windows, or if it's just kind of too bright, you're in a city, you got a billboard flashing outside,
Yes, yes,
you
yes,
got a
yes.
lot of
Right.
light pollution, and you're trying to sleep. Is that going to kind of throw the circadian rhythm off?
Absolutely. So, I always have a sleep mask if I need it. If I have to, if I'm not like in rhythm with nature and
Okay.
or wanting to wake up at 5 a.m. when the sun is coming up,
Mm.
that's good. There's the curtains, the blackout curtains. Absolutely. Some people are going to be more sensitive than other people. So I would say just listen to your body and experiment with how impactful. Um, Notice, like, for example, if you use the sleep mask for a week to do a sleep log. See, write down how you slept, when you went to sleep, when you woke up, how many times you woke up and what we can put a sleep log in the show notes for you to download. But that's an excellent way to compare, because we don't know, right? We'll often be like, oh, I didn't sleep great last night. It's like, okay, well, what's the evidence, right? Is that really just something we say? Like we say, sometimes we say things just to be polite, like, oh yeah, no, I slept great, or I slept fine, right? So, but really, we want some data. So one way to do that is collect the data.
Yeah, and to the blackout curtains, I've definitely heard great things. Have a friend who is a police officer. They have weird shifts. They have a lot of these 12-hour shifts. They're off the normal kind of 9 to 5 schedule, so they kind of have to create their own circadian rhythm in a way, right? If
Yeah.
you come off and you're home at 8 o'clock, and then you're 9, 10 in the morning is when you're going to sleep, right? If you're working second shift, or if you're working an overnight, those blackout windows can kind of almost trick you or your body into
Sure.
being in that, all right, now it's like I'm supposed to be in sleep mode, right? So they can be helpful. That is literally a hack.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely, absolutely. Right. And I do want to say, like, you can absolutely create your own circadian rhythm. Absolutely. It just, most of our listeners will probably be able to have a bit of
nature's
right. But
nature's
no,
built
absolutely.
in
And I know, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, if they have third shift,
ready-made rhythm for you. Yeah,
that think that they have to compromise their sleep. Absolutely. Like I said, that's
right.
what is nice about the modern world, right? There's so many things that you can do to support that. Absolutely. So yes, the sleep mask, the blackout curtains, the glasses, and meditations, those kinds of things are going to really be helpful to incorporate. And ritual and routine, right?
All right, and our next sleep secret hack is going to be something that I think a lot of the audience is going to have heard about, but I think it's really worth really refreshing memories and talking about the viability of the blue blocking glasses, because they're very accessible, they're very affordable, and it's kind of an easy fix. Um, One of the things that I use, not necessarily the glasses, but um, the feature on your iPhone where you can go into night shift mode. If you go into settings, um, display, you can change that. You can also have it kind of set up as a calendar where you want it to go off. You want it to change at, say, 9 p.m. because you're gonna go to sleep at 10:30, and you want that 90-minute buffer between, the blue light getting to you and your rest time. That's a great option. I mean, that is, to me, is a hack that everyone that has an iPhone should be doing, just because it's so easy, and once you set it once, you're good to go.
And the
But you want to
computer
talk a
as
little about
well.
the blue light,
Yeah.
the blue.
Same idea. On the computer, they have the same feature, the automatic
Good.
night one. I mean, my computer looks like so orange. Sometimes people are like, "Can you even see that?" Because it's really there's really not much blue at all. So, and even just like dimming, like I shut my phone light off completely, and I just have like a very very light background if I need to check it at nighttime. And the glasses are wonderful because a lot of people say, or a lot of my clients will say, "Well, I can't not watch TV. Like I need TV to fall asleep." And the research is showing like we should do no technology, an hour or two or three even before bedtime. But if you do watch TV or use your device, wearing the blue blocking glasses is going to be definitely helpful and supportive, because what we want is to stop that melatonin production.
Mm-hmm.
And we want the melatonin production to happen, right? People have probably heard of taking melatonin supplements. Well, we don't need melatonin supplements when our hormones are working properly. So when we have the melatonin in our system, it allows us to know that it's time for bed, and we can begin to wind down, which takes
Mm-hmm.
us into our next sleep hack, secret, suggestion, whatever you'd like to call it. The
Yeah,
ritual.
absolutely. The hacks among hacks. Your one self, ancient wisdom, modern wellness,
Yeah,
right? Ideally,
right,
you're not on the devices
right,
leading up to your bedtime ritual.
right.
Um, if you haven't gotten to that point where you can let go, and you haven't reached that level of transformation, or of
Let
kind of
it go.
self-actualization, or getting to where we want you to be and you want to be, then at least utilize the glasses, right? So it's a hack, and it's a hack within a hack. Like you said, sleep secret 3 up next, and this kind of ties in, and is another kind of cornerstone for me, as far as just in general having these rituals, routines, and habits. Ritual and routine. So do you want to talk about kind of the importance of bedtime rituals and routines and consistency? We're going to talk about this a bit when we do episodes on upcoming episodes on habits,
Sure.
but it's just critical for me, um, a wake up routine, and probably even more so, a going to bed routine. So take it away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And just to finish up on the blue glasses, or the different types of glasses in the hacking of the hormones and the melatonin, the circadian rhythm, we're going to put a link in the show notes, because there are different ones that you could wear at different times depending on what you need. So for example, if you wake up at 4 a.m. and you have a meeting at 4:30 a.m. and you're on your computer, that is too much blue light, too fast, too soon for hormone production. So similarly, like you might have to wear those you might find it helpful wearing them at different points throughout the day. But yes, thank you so much for introducing the ritual and routine, which is so important in our every aspect of our lives, right? Rituals and routines are going to be usually a great way of life, not even a hack, right? So with this, we're cueing to our body and our mind that it's time to wind down, right? So they say leave leave the bedroom for sleep. So when you go into your bed, your body, your subconscious, your unconscious knows it's time to sleep, right? Whereas, I wouldn't maybe recommend if you're having sleep problems hanging out in your bed in the middle of the day, because that could be confusing. Like your body be like, oh, I guess it's time to sleep. It might get you sleepy. So as you're going through and hacking your sleep and really regulating it and making it optimal, keep the bedroom and bed for sleeping, if possible. And yes, so we could use some examples of ritual and routine. Reading is excellent. Reading is so good in so many ways because it's not the technology, but also even just the movement of your eyes moving back and forth, right? So, a lot of times people think with hypnosis, they see like the pendulum swinging. Well, there's some aspects of inducing a trance to that, and that's the eye movement, right? It stimulates a certain part of our brain to get into that alpha, that theta state, which is going to be taking us into sleep. So I am a big fan of reading because usually also it's calming. You could take a warm bath. You could do some light yoga. You can journal. We'll talk about that in a moment. You can say your prayers. Any sort of, and I'm just thinking of my grandmother, our grandmother. She had a rosary by her bed. Just and that's like mind, body, and spirit, like right there for you. So whatever your particular practice might be, it's really helpful to take that time, maybe that hour before bed. Maybe it's getting the kids and reading a book to them or something along those lines. What do you use for your ritual and routine in the evening, or what have you used in the past?
Definitely reading for a long while. There one of the modifiers you use with the yoga is the light yoga or gentle yoga. There was a time where I was doing workouts prior to in the evening in the nighttime, but that can get you kind of firing on too many cylinders, and that increases anything that's really getting the heart rate up or really causing you to need to like dig into the adrenaline and really kind of get yourself kind of hyped up is going to add time needed to kind of balance. So you don't want to go too strenuous with any exercise before working out. So before going to sleep. So I would definitely say, yeah, no, definitely not, because then you're going to kind of awaken yourself up, and your body now thinks, oh, I need to be all synapses need to be firing, and I need to be ready to go.
Got it.
So you definitely don't.
I agree.
Want to give mixed signals, right? So because even if your head, now your body, it's all connected. It's going to be the heart rate's going to be racing. Everything's going to be
it's all
kind
connected.
of elevated. All levels are going to be elevated at that time, and then it's just going to take time to get down. And then you're going to get into some bad habits. Well, I can't sleep. That has knock-on effects, because then I can't sleep. So I'm going to get up. I'm going to get something to eat. I'm going to grab my phone, check something real quick while I'm waiting to go to sleep, and turn something on. And then that kind of snowballs into now it's an hour or two after your planned ritual is kind of totally in disarray. You've lost the consistency. You've lost that routine. So that's a bit. One thing you can do is kind of be reflectful, or be kind of grateful. Think about the day and what you've accomplished. What you're grateful for. It's very related to like saying prayers.
Yeah, right.
But that's important too.
Or affirmations.
Absolutely. And then the last thing that I would say is planning ahead for the next day can also be something that is very helpful and is a good routine, because you can really, what do I want to get done today? Get some lists done. It helps. So tomorrow, the next day, you're not. There is a time for being totally open to creativity and to doing some new things, but it can be helpful to kind of set up a schedule for what you plan on doing the next day. So that's something else that I found pretty valuable.
Absolutely. And now, so the
Writing,
journal.
there's that writing, and yeah, like it's that also is kind of connected to the journal diary piece of things that some people really like to do.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're what we were talking about earlier about taking out the trash and resetting the system and the subconscious mind, sorting through all those things. It's like you're prepping it, right? There's a a, a cue that you're sending to it, and you want to, um, and back to just really quickly, like me, not wanting the stressors to the adrenaline and cortisol to get high again at night by working out. Same thing with falling asleep to some like an action show if where your heart rate is getting up. That's one of the reasons why we want to keep the electronics out of there. But yes, the journaling can create your own serene environment by talking about what's something that's positive, like you were saying, with the an affirmation, which is usually a positive declaration that is written in first person. I am living a heart-centered life, right? That might be something that would be an affirmation that somebody writes in their journal at nighttime. And then that's cueing to the subconscious mind ideas of how that the person might go about that, living a heart-centered life throughout their day. Well, maybe I want to volunteer. Maybe I want to bring some food to my neighbor. Maybe I want to be kinder to my coworkers. Those are the things that we're going to plant seeds for the subconscious to give us ideas for the following day. And it's just also a way to de-stress. If you want to get out, like, okay, this was something I'm reflecting back on, a lesson learned from the day. Right. And then going into what could I do tomorrow to either improve that or to start anew, or even just do a checklist of like, oh, I have to go get an oil change. So you're not waking up at 3 a.m. being like, oh my gosh, I forgot to make my oil change appointment, right? Because you wrote it down. You could also keep the journal right by your bed. So if you do have those thoughts at 3 in the morning, they can wait. You can write it down and be like, okay, I'm acknowledging this thought, but I'm going to worry about it tomorrow. I wrote it down so I don't have to ruminate about it for a long time. Because a lot of times that the thoughts is what's keeping us up at night, and we want to get them out onto paper.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And we've given a lot of mini hacks inside this one overarching hack, but you're not doing every one of these at night. You're going to choose your one or two that you're most comfortable with, whether it's the light stretching, whether it's the journaling, whether it's the affirmations,
Yeah.
kind of gratitude moment with your children, with your spouse or partner, right? You're talking to them about the day, what the plan is for tomorrow. You're journaling, you're writing the diary, you're saying your prayers. And this stuff, I think that the most important thing, it's not necessarily what you choose, it's what you're most comfortable with, and that it becomes habitual and it becomes a routine. There's comfort in routines.
Mm-hmm.
That's also going to bring down levels of stress and kind of overexcitement too. So, and there's like a calmingness to, all right, this is what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just sets you up. And then naturally you get into that sleep. So shut the TV off, the devices off, the lights off, and just pick up one or two or three of these, and I think it will just kind of organically work itself out.
Yes. Yeah. And that's such a great point, Brian, because if you are struggling with getting a routine and a ritual because you're trying to do 5, 6 different things, choose one. I will tell clients just choose one thing and do it for 30 days. We can reassess after that 30 days, but just choose the one, do it every day, and it will become a ritual and a routine. Right. And this way, we're not like, it's not kind of up for debate. Well, maybe I'll do this or maybe I won't do that. Well, I don't really like it. I didn't really like it yesterday. Right. So the mind can kind of analyze something that doesn't need to be analyzed. So like you were saying, choose. So if you're having trouble, just choose one thing. If you can, do 2, that's great. Or 3 if you're incorporating it, like, into maybe the family situation. But yes, we don't want to overload, and it's not you don't need a to-do list for your evening routine.
Okay, excellent. Sleep secret number 4. So this is was kind of touched upon earlier, but it deserves its own mention, and that's a hybrid journaling and next day to-dos. So, ancient wisdom again, right? Diaries have been written
Oh, so
for
yeah,
years and years and years and years, right?
I smushed ritual and routine and journaling in there a bit.
Yeah,
So
but
but yes,
all these are connected in
yes,
a way.
yes, yes.
Um, right? Once you master all 5, you'll
You're
sleep
just gonna
forever.
start ascending.
Rip
You're
Van
gonna be
Winkle,
like,
yeah.
I don't need sleep anymore. I'm going into the ether with the ascended masters.
Um, so journaling and planning your next day, related, independent, but also could be kind of done together. Basically, just if you don't know how to start, it's kind of just jotting down some thoughts from the day, reflecting, and it helps. A couple reasons why doing one or both of these is so important is that it really helps to clear your mind. One of the things that prevents people from kind of getting to sleep is that their mind's racing and they're always thinking about something. So if you write down those thoughts of the big events, circumstances that you went through that day, that can help to get them out of your mind, and it will reduce anxiety and it will reduce worry about things that you did or didn't do. So that can be absolutely super helpful. It also can kind of make upcoming tasks, seem much more manageable when you write them down. And when you kind of get overwhelmed, like we talked about before, and then it's like 2 or 3 things, you plan it out. Oh, that I could do during my lunch break. Oh, those 2 I can tackle on the way home from work. It really, they take an outsized place in your head, a lot of these thoughts. And then when you can clear them by writing them down, by kind of exposing them, right, to the light, you can kind of take agency, and they won't be controlling you at that point. So that's some of my thoughts on
Absolutely.
getting those thoughts out there in the open.
Love it. Absolutely. Yes. I agree completely. And finally, the body scan for getting you into a deep sleep quickly without the
Yeah, please take
mental
this one.
chatter.
Take this one and run with it, because this
Yeah.
is right up
Right up
your
my
alley.
alley. Yeah, for sure. Right. So when we relax the body, it quiets the mind. So one way to get us out of our mind is to focus elsewhere. And what a great place to focus when you're trying to unwind is relaxing the muscles, the tissues, the fibers, the nerves of the body. And it is so simple, and I usually don't even make it to my waist. But basically, I start with the toe. Start with your feet and work your way up. Some people like to start with relaxing from the top of their head all the way down.
Mm,
However, I would say I like to do starting with the feet. So just go
okay.
into each part of your body, each toe, and say, okay, I'm relaxing my big toe. I'm relaxing my second toe. So it sounds a little silly, but it works. It really, truly works. So as slow as you can and moving up to the ankles, the calves, the shins, as much attention and focus and dedication to
Mm,
each part of your body. It is so helpful for your entire system. So yeah, I would say you could take 5 minutes doing that. You'll probably fall asleep even before that. But it's such a beautiful hack and you can do it, throughout the day. If you're feeling nervous or anxious or overwhelmed, you could scan the body. I'm gonna give you a body scan that that listeners can use over and over in a
Excellent.
serenity session. Try that out and try it again, and then try it again and try it again. Because it's a practice, right? You're learning to be more in your body, more embodied, more in touch with your physical, and the mind and the body and the spirit can integrate more easily.
Absolutely. And I could have said it better myself for sure. And that closing line, I just want to really highlight this episode really shows how those mind, body, and spirit components are all interconnected all the time. All right, there you have it. 5 sleep secrets that you can change your nights and in turn change your days. So quality sleep is not a luxury, but it's a necessity for reaching your best self. So overall health, well-being, incorporate these tips into your routine. Watch your sleep improve right away. If you have sleep secrets of your own, please share them with us. If you have, trouble getting into any of these, please reach out and we'll let you know. We're always here and we always respond, and
Yes.
the community definitely will be there to help you out as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Journey to your best self, but also journey to our website, yourownself.com, for more resources and personal guidance. We will upload stuff into the show notes as well. Thank you as always. We were blessed to have Tara O'Neill. This is Brian O'Neill, your host, wishing you peace, love, and self-discovery. Sweet dreams, journey to your best self, listeners and viewers.